This is a study of the alleged relationship between two paranormal entities, the concept of which has been contemplated by many and has therefore created many theories as to the connection between these two entities. The first of the two is the infamous creature being typically referred to as the Slender Man, a humanoid figure described as wearing a black or grey suit, a black or red tie, and having no facial features and a hairless white head. However, the Slender Man's most noticeable feature is his many tentacle-like limbs that protrude from his back, and his height has been described as ranging anywhere between 6 and 15 feet. The second of the two entities is a creature known as the Rake. This entity can be described as vaguely humanoid or similar in appearance to a large hairless dog. Its skin is said to be a pale grey, its spine bent oddly out of shape, and its eyes are hollow and dark. To begin my investigation, I feel I must start by pointing out the stark contrast between the two beings. Firstly, I cannot help but notice their apparent difference in approach with regards to their goals. The Slender Man is a well-known, well-documented figure who has been captured throughout history by means of photographs, documentations, and witness statements. This conveys the notion that he is an entity of stealth, but not secrecy, as, although he has the ability to snatch up his victims without leaving any trace of himself at the scene, it's almost as if he takes pride or pleasure in taunting his victims or other beings by hiding in plain sight, or even showing himself to those associated to the event, both previous to and after it has occurred. The Rake, however, is less prominent, as, although it has been well documented in much detail at times, it has made a point of avoiding being captured on film where possible. There is also very little information pertaining to the Rake in regards to the background and behavior, and there is no real trend in its victims or its intentions. Secondly, the targets of the two entities are also very dissimilar from each other. For example, the Slender Man shows a clear focus on the abduction of children, the only exception to this being accounts of animal mutilations between the 1st and 3rd month of 1986, whereas victims of the Rake have been documented as men, women, and children, some killed or psychologically tortured, and others simply visited or drawn out from their current whereabouts. Physical appearances cannot be relied on as a solid method of separation between the two entities, although I feel I should mention it as a third point of contrast. It is said that these entities have the ability to shapeshift and therefore have chosen to take the forms that they have. My point here being that, even if they are two beings of the same type, they have chosen to portray themselves in two very different ways, both in their behavior and in their appearances. This said, there are still many points to be explored that may in fact reveal the connection between these two remarkable entities. The first and most prominent of these points being that they both give off a certain energy signature known as sigma radiation. Sigma radiation is given off by paranormal entities, here meaning entities that are neither human nor animal, and has been known to cause electrical devices to malfunction. The Rake has been found to give off this radiation, and traces of it were also found on a scrap of cloth left behind at the scene of one of the Slender Man's victims. The only other connection that I have managed to unearth is that both the Slender Man and the Rake have been known to target children or families. This is a lot more evident in the Slender Man's victims than those of the Rake. However, the Rake is said to stalk families of its victims for a reason unbeknown to me. This said, there still remains a very clear contrast between both the behavior and the choice of victims pertaining to the two entities. I think the issue when looking for connections between the Slender Man and the Rake is that most define a connection as if they are expecting the two beings to be aware of or even working with each other. However, this is too obvious a relation and is unlikely to occur. The other point to disprove these associations is that there have never been instances where any two victims of either entity have been related in any way. In conclusion, the only connection evident to me is that they may be entities of similar origins based on the fact that they both give off the same energy signature. However, I see no solid connection between their behavior or their victims. This conclusion is based on my opinion, and viewer discretion is advised.